Hello, this is Willie with Course in Miracles, January the 13th, Lesson 13. Our lesson yesterday was I'm upset because I see a meaningless world. I trust you've been doing that. We're ready for a meaningless world engenders fear. Before we get started, I wanted to show you my microgreens. I've got some sunflower seeds that I'm growing up, and they're up and doing pretty good. Probably been growing about, 5-6 days. Another couple days, I expect these little, the rest of these seeds will open up. They'll be nice and green, ready to eat. What I liked about this, and I'll let you know how it worked, is I just bought bird seed, sunflower seeds. It was cheap, available, and sprouted them. So we'll see how they taste. I imagine they'll be fine, though. A meaningless world engenders fear. Today's idea is really another form of the preceding one, except that it is more specific in the emotion aroused. Actually, a meaningless world is impossible. Nothing without meaning exists. However, it does not follow that you will not think you perceive something that has no meaning. On the contrary, you will be particularly likely to think you do perceive it. Recognition of meaninglessness arouses intense anxiety in all the separated ones. It represents a situation in which God and the ego challenge each other as to whose meaning is to be written in the empty space which meaninglessness provides. The ego rushes in frantically to establish its own ideas there, fearful that the void may otherwise be used to demonstrate its own unreality. And on this alone is it correct. Okay, so we're going to think that it's meaningless. We're going to put our own interpretation on it. Of course, remember, we do this pretty much unconsciously at this point. We're going to begin to become more and more conscious of what we're doing and allow space to be space and allow God to tell us what is. Paragraph 3. It is essential, therefore, that you learn to recognize the meaningless and accept it without fear. It is essential, therefore, that you learn to recognize the meaningless and accept it without fear. If you are fearful, it is certain that you will endow the world with attributes which it does not possess, and crowd it with images that do not exist. To the ego, illusions are safety devices, as they must also be to you who equate yourself with the ego. Paragraph 4. The exercises for today, which should be done about 3 or 4 times for not more than a minute or so at most each time, are to be practiced in a somewhat different way from the preceding ones. With eyes closed, repeat today's idea to yourself, then open your eyes and look about you slowly, saying, I am looking at a meaningless world. Repeat this statement to yourself as you look about. Then close your eyes and conclude with, a meaningless world engenders fear, because I think I am in competition with God. This is where we use faith and recognize that God has a meaning in everything. God's everywhere present. You may find it difficult to avoid resistance in one form or another to this concluding statement. Whatever form such resistance may take, remind yourself that you are really afraid of such a thought because of the vengeance, in quotes, of the enemy, in quotes. You are not expected to believe the statement at this point and will probably try to dismiss it as preposterous. Note carefully, however, any signs of overt or covert fear which it may arouse. This is our first attempt at stating an explicit cause and effect relationship of a kind which you are very inexperienced in recognizing. Do not dwell on the concluding statement, and try not even to think of it except during the exercise periods. That will suffice at present. Our concluding statement: a meaningless world engenders fear because I think I am in competition with God. I'm looking at a meaningless world. You close your eyes and say that, then open them for a minute or so, looking around, repeating that as you look around. I'm looking at a meaningless world. Thank you for joining me. And as always, be as aware as you can of God's goodness in your life and everywhere.